You're telling me that the president of the United States should be posting that serious, oh yeah, Obama, you're dragging him in front of a military tribunal. You know what, he didn't say anything about James Comey and his seashells. How do you not see that that's crazy? How do you not see it? People are so blind these days, and it's so frustrating.
This weekend, President Donald Trump went on a massive Truth Social bender. That's not unusual, but he went so far as to share a post that called for former President Barack Obama to face a military tribunal. Here's the post. All roads lead to Obama, it says. That post did not explain why the former president should face a military tribunal. Those are usually reserved for members of enemy forces. Trump's social media spree only gets crazier from there. But before we give you more on that, what do you think so far, Cenk? What it kind of requires getting in Trump's mind, but take a stab at it, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think it's tough. I think he's mentally unbalanced. And I don't think that it's even close. So that doesn't mean that he can't function. It doesn't mean that he isn't right from time to time, broken clock and all that. And it's not just broken clock. Look, we give credit where credit is due. And so sometimes he makes the right decisions. So I'm not saying that he's totally out of his mind, but is he partly out of his mind? Of course he is. What military tribunals are you talking about? And then he's gonna get into the Clinton murders in a second. I mean, that's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And he's always been that way. So we just like Joe Biden not being old, Democrats say he's not old. And then Trump supporters of MAGA says, no, Trump's not crazy. Of course you should investigate the murders of the Clintons and the tribunals for Obama. What are you guys talking? What is this? This is lunacy. All right, let's give you more of the details and then come back and rip them more.
All right, the post calling for Obama to face a military tribunal was in response to an article about former FBI Director James Comey's controversial Instagram post. Last week, Comey uploaded an image of seashells arranged to make the numbers 8647. And speaking of Comey, Trump also shared this post. Why haven't they raided his house in the middle of the night and arrested him? He's still on that one. Comey fired during the first months of Trump's administration. Finally, Trump shared a video captioned, "The video Hillary Clinton does not want you to see." Video has to do with the Clinton body count conspiracy theory, which alleges that Hillary and Bill orchestrated the murders of numerous Americans. Some versions of the conspiracy theory even go so far as to claim that the Clintons had over 50 people killed. So serial killers, mass murderers, that would mean. The video that Trump shared, the Clintons are blamed for the deaths of 5 individuals, including John F. Kennedy Jr., Bill Clinton's former White House interim, Mary Mahoney, Bill Clinton's deputy White House counsel, Vince Foster, that's been widely floated. To give you an idea of how the conspiracy works, let's break down what's being alleged here. Kennedy Jr. was a highly popular Democrat who was weighing to run for a Senate seat in New York. You see, he died though in that plane crash in 1999. Hillary Clinton would go on to win that Senate seat. Video implies that the Clintons somehow planned that plane crash, which also killed his wife and sister. Mahoney was killed in 1997 when a robber attacked the Starbucks where she worked. She tried to take his gun, he shot her. The conspiracy theory alleges that she knew about Bill Clinton's sexual misconduct and would have been called as a key witness in his impeachment trial. Vince Foster died in 1993. No less than 5 investigations into his death ruled that it was a suicide. But according to the conspiracy theory, Foster was killed due to his disagreements with Hillary Clinton and his knowledge of the Travelgate scandal. Again, the Clinton body count theory spans many more deaths that were allegedly planned by Hillary and Bill Clinton. Thoughts, Cenk?
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts, but first, I like this comment that just came in on Twitch. Drenched Wildfire said, wait, I thought JFK Jr. was alive and going to be part of the Trump administration. That's what QAnon said. That's true. He was supposed to come back and then he was going to be part of it. Can't keep up with the conspiracy theories. Okay, I fought Hillary Clinton tooth and nail. Back in the 2008 primary against Obama, I was for Obama and against Hillary Clinton. And then famously in 2016, I was for Bernie Sanders and very much against Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton has taken an enormous amount of money from the donor class and serves the donor class. Did she murder 50 people? No. If you think that, you have mental health problems. Go see a therapist. It makes no sense at all. And I know a lot of people believe conspiracy theories and they're gonna get super offended. And of course, if you believe the theories, so naive not to think that Hillary and Bill Clinton are obviously Dexter. Serial killing on the side. Of course, everybody knows that. They drive an Uber and kill people on the side, and then they're also, why would they risk their vast fortune and their political empire? Oh, John F. Kennedy Jr. might have run against Hillary Clinton many years later, so they murdered him just in case. Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. None of that is true. It's totally insane. Okay, some rando QAnon guy posts it. All right, and Democrats, maybe we make too much of it, although then you see the numbers and there's a lot of them, and you go, okay, wow, that's disturbing. But that's a separate thing from the President of the United States posting it. And what military tribunal for Obama? Okay, so James Comey took a picture of seashells, obviously national emergency. I hope FEMA was called in too, okay? And then the seashells do numbers, and the numbers mean something. They mean either cancel or kill, so we'll assume it means kill, okay? And that's why his house should be raided in the middle of the night. Okay, all right. So look, I think that's nuts too, but at least it's in the realm of not insane, I say hesitantly, because 86 could be kill. It's usually not used that way at all, especially when you're doing it with frickin' seashells. Okay, and Republicans have said 86 before as well. It's overhyped, okay? But at least one meaning of 86 is that. But to think that Obama should be brought before a military tribunal because James Comey took a picture of seashells. And you're telling me that's not cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs? You're telling me that the President of the United States should be posting that serious, oh yeah, Obama, you're dragging him in front of a military tribunal. You know what he did? He didn't say anything about James Comey and his seashells. How do you not see that that's crazy? How do you not see it? People are so blind these days and it's so frustrating. So here we were a year ago, 2 years ago, ripping our hair out, going, of course Joe Biden's too old. Of course he's too old. Look at any public appearance. And we had Democrats go, no, he's not. He's young and dynamic. He is the best candidate. All other Democrats suck. The only one who can win is Joe Biden. Like, why do all other Democrats suck? Why can't somebody else beat Trump? No, Joe Biden, we were told by cable news that Joe Biden is the greatest president of all time and the best Democrat. We choose to believe it, to view as the best. Okay, all right. Now the Trump people. No, Trump is not mentally unstable. Of course, Obama should be brought in front of a military tribunal for the arrangement of seashells that James Comey might or might not have done. And of course, the Clintons are serial killers. Of course, that's not mentally unstable. No, okay, what am I gonna do? All right, so two sides have decided that they're going to be purposely blind and they're not going to see the most obvious things in the world. You know, people joke around about how Ted Cruz is the Zodiac killer. That's a joke. On the other hand, Donald Trump said, Ted Cruz's dad might have killed John F. Kennedy. And he wasn't joking, because he's a lunatic. So according to Trump, Ted Cruz's dad killed JFK, and the Clintons killed JFK Jr. And you tell me that's not crazy? I know what some will say. Everybody has different excuses. Ironically, it's a shell game. Right? So he's just trolling. It's really funny when you accuse the former president of being a serial killer, another former president of having to go in front of a military tribunal and maybe get executed. It's always so funny when the president is like a 9-year-old and he trolls other people. That's your main excuse. The president is, somewhere between 9 and 12 years old in emotional stability. And that's why he's constantly running these weirdo psychotic gags all the time when he's the commander in chief and the leader of the free world. Okay, you know what? If that's what gets you through the night, But this dude has, Sharon, and it's not new. He's always believed in ridiculous conspiracy theories. He's the one that pushed Obama wasn't born here because he's black and his dad's Kenyan. So I don't believe his birth certificate. And he didn't push that just to get at Obama. He pushed it because he believes it. I know guys like him. They believe every conspiracy theory, every single one. Somebody should ask Trump whether the earth is flat. I got it at 50-50 on his answer. Did we land on the moon? I got it at 50-50 on his answer. You give him a conspiracy theory, he will believe it. And look, you could say he's not crazy. But if he's not crazy, then the other alternative is he's really, really not bright. Sorry.
Okay, thank you for saying that, okay? I'm having the same particular friend call me up today and argue with me about how Trump is actually a genius. I said, well, what about the lack of discipline? What about the emotional intelligence? I'm not a genius. I won't call him stupid, even though I think there's evidence of it. And this is what we get time and time again. But I think you make strong points. It's really on both sides. Oh, and by the way, I looked it up. If the Clintons, if their body counts 50 and serial killers, they would only be surpassed by Samuel Little, 93 murders. The Green River killer, 49 confirmed, would move to slot 3. So it's just, it's the degree of it, but there's more on this one, Cenk. Of course, we've been alarmed by Trump's unhinged post, his brazen actions in his second term. And while it seemed like the American people were on that same page for a while, that is starting to change. Last week, CNN's Harry Enton explained that recently Trump's approval rating has been rebounding. Here's more.
Hello, Trump's net approval rating among voters. This is the Reuters Ipsos polling. Look at this, in late April, he was 8 points underwater. But look at where he was in the most recent poll among voters. He's up 7 points to a -1 point net favorability rating. This is just one poll, right? But let's take a look across an aggregate of polls. What are we seeing here? And I want to compare both to where Donald Trump is now versus where he was in late April, as well as where he was at this point in term number 1. What you see is at -6 points, he is a little bit worse off than he is in the Ipsos Reuters polling, but he is considerably better than he was in late April when he was 9 points underwater. And more than that, look at this. He's nearly 10 points better than he was back in May 16th of 2017 in his first term. So what we see is Donald Trump's not just doing better than he was doing in late April of 2025, he's doing considerably better than he was doing at this point in term number 1. It is the economy, the economy, the economy. As the chance of a recession has fallen, as the trade wars have kind of collapsed a little bit, at least with China, Trump trying to make a deal, we do see that I do think that the voters are responding to this, and therefore we're seeing Trump's approval rating going up.
Cenk, how much of this do you suspect is ego? And by that, I mean, the friend who calls me and wants to argue with me and tell me Trump's a genius. He's not stupid. He's actually a very, very smart man. How much of this is just not wanting to be wrong, wanting to win at all costs, intellectually dishonest? I don't know. Or maybe people really believe it. Maybe it's just what Harry Enton said. Listen, the threat's off the table for now, okay? But I just don't get it.
Yeah, look, there's two different things here. On the conspiracy theory stuff, if you're somebody who's into it, you could be bright in other ways. I mean, I've seen it, right? Very bright in other ways. But there's something like about conspiracy theories for those set of folks. They just can't get enough. It's like crack to them. Anyone suggests a different reason for something, they're like, oh, definitely. And they think that we're super naive, right? Like, you don't believe that the Clintons are bigger serial killers than the Green River killer. It's just so naive, right? Like, oh, it's so frustrating to talk to them. But now back to politics. Look, I'm saying that because we do a news show and I care about reality and I can't stand gaslighting. But is it relevant politically? No. The personal attacks on Donald Trump don't work at all anymore. Maybe they worked in the beginning, but they got whatever mileage they're gonna get out of it. You're not flipping a single person. Like there isn't anything he could say that's deranged enough for anyone to change their opinion of Trump based on some deranged thing he said. I mean, does it get more deranged than the Clintons or serial killers? And it doesn't move the numbers at all, right? So the only thing that matters, and it makes sense, guys, is what do voters vote based on? Not some other dude and how, is his mental health okay, or another country. I wish they cared about other countries, but not often. Some do, but not a lot. No, they care about things that affect them. And what affects them the most? The economy. So why is Trump's numbers rebounding? Well, some on the left said that no, Trump will never change any of his policies and his supporters will never change anything. They're all cult and then they'll always stick with whatever maniacal things. No, Trump flip-flops all the time. And his base sometimes gets exhausted flip-flopping with him, right? Like, oh, we love nuclear tariffs. No, tariffs can't be nuclear, but we still like some tariffs, but later he'll change that. Oh no, but we never liked tariffs in the first place. I mean, yes, so there's a base that definitely flip-flops with him. But does he flip-flop? All the time, all the time. And so, by the way, that is not a bad thing. So he does these nuclear tariffs, they destroy the markets, and he goes, okay, I didn't like that, and the American people didn't like that. Okay, let's bring him down. Good, good, he's reacting to the American people. So, and he'll keep doing that. That's actually, as a politician, that's one of his biggest strengths. Whereas, you could tell Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, the issue of Gaza is costing you an enormous number of votes. And they're like, we don't care, we will be voting with the donors no matter what. Why don't you negotiate drug prices? That's a layup. Over 90% of Americans want, we don't care, we will negotiate one drug. We will leave tens of thousands of drugs alone. We will try to trick the American people because we work for the donors. Well, that people hate that. There's but don't get me wrong, there's robots on the Republican side too. All those corporate guys, they never change because they take orders, and your donor tells you to do one thing, you're gonna do that thing. And they don't care about the public polling, it's amazing. Whereas Trump's like, I like to be popular, and it's kind of goofy, it's a little silly. But for a president, it's not such a bad thing. Because if you get to a point where you're doing deeply unpopular things, your polling goes down, and then Trump responds to it and goes, oh, they didn't like that. Okay, we're lowering tariffs. So I hope he gets the memo on Israel, by the way. You would be very, very, very popular if for the first time in our lifetimes, you were actually the president of the United States and stood up to a foreign government like Israel, unlike every other president we've had. If he figures that out, he'll be super popular. But there's a lot of people around him like literally paid to make sure he does not find that out. Anyways, you see how I think, Sharon, this is actually an upside, not a downside?
Yeah, when you put it that way, it had me reminiscing about when we were on the show a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about was it Bill Maher who got invited to dinner? And I was just thinking as you were going through all that, boy, I do hope Frank is invited to dinner. Maybe he can get through to him. If you're the last person, everybody else is going to bed, you're having dessert, maybe you can get through to him on Gaza and everything else.
No, look, honestly, like of course it'll never happen. I get that, and then you'll never be the last person in the room, and then 28 other people funded by the donor class will rush in afterwards, and some far right lunatics will rush in and say, oh no, don't listen to him, blah blah blah. But in reality, Trump, and again, the left won't believe me on this either. They're like, no, he's core evil. He'll never do anything positive. No, if you told Trump, hey, paid family leave, that helps American moms. It'll polls at 84%, it'll make you really popular. My guess is be like, oh yeah, okay, let's do that. And then some people will come in and try to bribe him and go, oh no, corporations don't want that, here's some checks. And either they'll be large enough and he'll just take it and he'll make more money, right? Or they won't be large enough and he'll be like, no, I prefer the polling, I wanna be popular, I'll do that. You know what, America's tired of paying Israel $300 billion and we don't want the responsibility for starving babies to death, right? Well, that one, there's toners everywhere on all sides, right? And now on Qatar's on the other side of Israel, and it's a giant mess, and the money will probably decide it. But if he found out how popular he'd be if he cut off funding to Israel, he might do it, right? And for the people saying he won't do it because he's evil, guys, you're not getting it. All Trump cares about is Trump. So he's not doing it out of being weirdly malicious. Or even if he is, and believe me, he's got many malicious thoughts in his head, believe me, okay? But if he thinks it's bad for Trump, he won't do it. He'll go to good for Trump. So frame things as good for Trump and he might go there. But I know, no, don't try. Instead, just call everyone racist and go back in a cave. Okay, anyway, that's a random tangent. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.